Okay, let's unpack this. If you've ever built a classic Tamiya radio-controlled buggy, like the iconic Grasshopper Hornet or their descendants.
Oh, yeah, fantastic hits. Simple, rugged.
Totally. The simple genius of their design. But there's one tiny part, it seems almost overlooked, that sparks this, well, surprisingly fierce debate.
You're talking about the rolling, rigid rear axle pivot.
Exactly. Should it be lubricated? And if you do, which grease? Do you go for Tamiya's super thick anti-wear grease or their low-friction Cera Grease HG?
Right. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't just a technical question. It's not just about grease.
Right.
No, it really digs into fundamental mechanical engineering principles and even a bit of maintenance philosophy,
Okay.
So our mission today really is to cut through all the online forum noise, maybe deconstruct the mechanics a bit.
Look at the actual parts involved.
Exactly. Analyze the lubricants themselves and hopefully give you a definitive best practice guide for keeping these awesome buggies running well.
All right, so before we even get to the grease options, let's look at the pivot itself. It's the core, really, the heart of that rear suspension.
It is. It's that single low-mounted point where the whole gearbox pivots up and down.
And we're talking slow movement, right? Oscillating, but under pretty high pressure.
Yeah.
And it's plastic on plastic.
Plastic on plastic.
So my first thought, and honestly what you see a lot online, is just grease it. I mean, isn't lubrication nearly always better for moving parts?
Well, that's a really common assumption, and it makes sense on the surface. But here's an important point. Tamiya engineers actually evolved this design.
Oh, right, over time.
Yeah, precisely because of the mechanical challenges. The original Grasshopper, it had a truly rigid pivot. And that contributed to its, well, let's say, bouncy handling.
A bit unpredictable, yeah.
Definitely. Then the Hornet introduced a change. It seems subtle, but it was crucial. An articulating mod using springs right at the pivot. And that dramatically improved traction, stability. It was purely a mechanical refinement. It changed how it moved. It wasn't about adding lubrication.
That makes sense. And even the community solutions, for things like Gearbox slap, that nasty upward lift when you accelerate hard.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
The fixes are mechanical, too. Like the third shock mod people do. It adds physical dampening.
Right. No grease involved there either. It's all about controlling the movement, not just making surfaces slide easier.
So this really suggests the main issues here are mechanical force, movement, geometry, not primarily friction that needs grease.
I think that's a very strong indicator, yes. Now let's look at those greases. Tamiya Anti-Wear, the AEW grease. It's got molybdenum disulfide in it.
The thick stuff.
Incredibly thick. It's really designed for damping, for creating resistance in sealed places like gear differentials.
Okay, so not for free movement.
Absolutely not. Putting that on an exposed suspension pivot, it would be trying to run through treacle. It would actively impede free movement, make the suspension sluggish.
Right. Less responsive.
Exactly. It's meant to slow things down.
Okay, but then there's the other one, Cera Grease HG.
Yeah.
That uses boron nitride, right? For low friction. Specifically mentions plastic parts.
It does.
So that sounds like a much better fit, doesn't it? For a pivot. Like make it slipperier. I have to admit, I might have even used it there myself once or twice thinking more slippery is better.
Theoretically. Yes. If, and this is a big if you were running it in a perfectly clean lab.
Oh.
But here's where it gets really interesting. And it points to Tamiya's design philosophy. Go look at their manuals. They're meticulous, step by step.
Very detailed.
But they never show an icon, never give an instruction to grease this specific pivot point, ever.
Huh. So nothing.
Nothing. And that's not an oversight. This argument from silence is, we believe, a deliberate design choice. They wanted it greased, they'd tell you. It's like they're shouting no by saying absolutely nothing about it.
Okay, wow. So what does this actually mean for, real-world driving? Taking these buggies off-road, getting them dirty like they're meant to.
It means applying any wet lubricant there. Doesn't matter if it's the thick AEW or the slick Cera Grease down on that exposed low-hanging pivot.
Wow.
No, it just creates a literal grinding paste.
Huh.
Yeah. It inevitably mixes with sand, dust, tiny bits of grit from the track or your yard. Imagine sticky goo mixed with fine sandpaper.
Right. Abrading the parts.
Exactly. This abrasive mixture will just rapidly wear down the plastic on your chassis and your gearbox pivot points. It turns precise fits into what RC guys call slop.
The horrible wobble and play.
That's it, which leads straight to premature component failure, worse handling, less durability. The risk from that wear, It just catastrophically outweighs any tiny theoretical benefit you might get from the grease itself. So really, bringing it all together, the definitive best practice. Assemble that gearbox pivot clean and dry, just plastic on plastic.
As the Mia intended.
Precisely. It aligns with their design, and it's absolutely the best way to ensure the longest life for those parts in real-world off-road conditions.
Okay, that seems pretty clear.
Yeah.
But what if someone absolutely insists on lubricating?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, for a shelf queen buggy that never actually sees dirt, which of the two Tamiya greases is the less bad choice?
No, the less detrimental choice, yeah. That would unequivocally be the Cera Grease HG. Its purpose is reducing friction and its lower viscosity.
So it won't gum things up quite as much.
Right. The anti-wear grease is just entirely unsuitable. It'll make things worse, but honestly, even for a shelf queen, if you want some slickness without attracting dust, a dry film lubricant is far better. Something like a PTFE spray. It gives you slipperiness without being sticky, no grinding paste potential.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What really stands out to me here, sometimes the most important lesson isn't about what fancy product to add, but just understanding when not to interfere, when to trust an elegant, simple, robust design.
That's a great point, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? This raises an important question, maybe for you listening. Where else in your life might just embracing simplicity, trusting the original, well-thought-out solution, where might that be the most effective answer?